Okay, well, welcome to another workshop here at the Test Camp. This is Test Prep Mathematics. Let's discuss how learning and practicing test skills will empower your test confidence. Those of you joining us live online, we wish you could be here in person, but of course you're welcome to contribute your comments anytime, and we're going to include them in the discussion boards up here. And if you're joining us on demand directly through the Test Camp YouTube channel, well, of course, you're watching that video, and you can pause or restart or replay the video anytime. Again, this workshop is in the Test Prep series, which focuses on single subjects for standardized tests. The Test Skills series combines subjects and helps you become a better all-around test taker. If you want to learn more about teaching, the Future Educators program provides that opportunity. Now, you likely know that around here, the motto is prepare, practice, perform. Everyone who has successfully completed the training has passed their tests or significantly improved their scores. Now, how is that possible? Because test taking is a skill, and a skill requires practice. And this is the only place where you can learn and practice your test skills online. So let's get started. First, to prepare here at the Test Camp means to understand the test, but also to understand yourself. An honest assessment of how well you know the test content, but also know your testing skills. So we start learning the content by looking at the blueprint. Those of you who have participated in other workshops know that the blueprint provides pretty much all the information you need to fully understand a test. It's also a good first step to creating what we call My Study Plan. This is a schedule that includes reviewing and studying the test content. There's no tips and tricks. The more work you put in, the more confidence you gain. Our first step, however, is to identify what types of math questions you can expect to encounter on your test. Now, not the question format. We know that most math questions on standardized tests are multiple choice. We're going to identify the math competencies on which the questions are built. Here's how we isolate each competency on our individual quizzes at the Test Camp. Taking quizzes based on each competency can provide you instant feedback, point you in a direction you might want to review and study before your test. Let's take a closer look at each competency, beginning up there with numbers. You'll find that on most test information guides that these are the main concepts associated with numbers. Proving your competency with numbers also includes demonstrating your knowledge of place value, rounding, and estimating. Let's look at some sample questions based on this competency. Is it clear why this question was created from the competency numbers? That's right, fractions. Let's look at another example. All right, what do you see here? Over here. Percents this time. What else? More fractions and, all right, I see one too. There's decimals. Okay, one more. Just starting with the answer set. All right, so there's dozens of these types of questions on quizzes over there in the training center. You can check your knowledge on this competency, and then you might know if that's a place you need to go and review or study. The next competency is algebra. If you see variables on an equation, then you know it's algebra. So, variables or equations, that's an algebra question. All right, this is a question you might want to mark and save because there's too many steps to finding the correct answer. So we mark and save questions oftentimes because we don't want to spend or invest too much time on the first pass through the test. Here's another example. Definitely a question to mark and save, but also definitely algebra. In fact, in this one, they're actually having you write the equation. Another type of algebra question involves the coordinate plane. Now, do you remember the coordinate plane? Yes, okay, but do you remember why? No, you don't remember that. Does anybody remember why you studied the coordinate plane? Well, it has to do about math explaining motion and direction. Let's think about it. If 0 is your starting point in the middle, what do you need to know to get to that point marked? And what if that point was moving, right? So first you need to know the position. So you see the position you're in and you're moving to that position up there, which is 3 to the right and 3 to the top, right? And when you remember what this is called? Ordered pairs, right? So ordered pairs is the position, slope is the direction. And again, there's a quiz designed to test your knowledge in this. You're going to get really good at this by the time you finish the training. The next competency then is geometry. If you had to explain geometry in just one word, what would you say? It's the study of what? Shapes, yes. So let's look at some sample questions. And here's only a set of answers when we start, all right? Geometry is shapes. Even without the question, what's called the stem, it's clear that this is going to be a question based on geometry. Here's another sample question. All right, so again, geometry questions are really easy to identify. Let's look at one more. Okay, so the next mathematics competency is measurement. We said that geometry was shape, then measurement is going to be units. Think about the units and how they are measured. Height, weight, distance, and speed. All units to be measured on measurement questions. Here's the first example. All right, here's one a little more complicated. The classic Susan painting her room question. This is definitely one you would want to mark and save. How about this question? Is this actually measurement? I don't know, it's kind of a combination. You might think of this as geometry because you have to know something about the shape in order to do the measurement. But in any case, you're focused in and you know what they're asking. This might be another one that you would want to mark and save. So here again are the first 4 competencies. Don't say it out loud, but do you remember the 5th competency? You're going to talk about this among yourselves there for a couple minutes at the tables. And when you get it, be ready to explain what types of questions might be included in this 5th competency. What are they going to ask you? We'll come back and compare your thoughts in just a moment. Hey, again, for those of you joining us today live online, thank you for sharing your thoughts, and we'll include them up here in the discussion area. And if you're joining us on the Test Camp YouTube channel, this might be a good time to pause that recording and think about this competency, which, by the way, is data. All right, do you know what's included in data questions? We'll be here when you restart the video. Looks like everybody came up with a 5th competency, which was data. Very good. All right, so here at the Test Camp, we identify these types of questions easily because they are a report of facts. Remember, geometry was shapes. Measurement is units. Right, so data is facts. If a data question is based on the past or the present, it's reporting statistics. Here's an example. If a data question is based on a prediction of the future, then it's called probability. Now, many of the data questions include images like tables or charts or lists. Here's another example. And during the training, you're going to learn how to mark and save questions like these, especially on the first pass through the test. Oftentimes, the main concept of a data question is to determine central tendency. Now, what does that mean in simple terms? Explain it to an elementary student. What's central mean? In the middle, right? Tends to be in the middle, right? So, finding what's in the middle. Do you remember these terms? Right? There's different ways of saying what's in the middle. And in a few minutes, we're going to discuss some resources so that you can study questions just like this. You'll get really good at this. It's just a matter of going back and reviewing. So that's a brief overview of the competencies, or the types of questions you can expect on standardized mathematics tests. What do you know about the passing score for these types of tests? Well, each state, each area, each school district is different. And the passing score here at the test camp is a little bit higher, about 80%, where generally your required score might be a little bit less. So this is a good target score, one that will ensure that you pass your test, because the state certification pass rates are generally lower. Let's say, for example, there are 20 problems. So at 80%, let's do the math here. How many do you need to get correct? 16. There you go. 2 times 8, 16. All right, that's how many would be needed. So you need to be able to do that math. However, again, the required score might be different even between people taking the same test in the same state or school district. So be sure to check with your teacher or your school administrator. All right, let's look at this in kind of a different way here. Which would you choose? If you could have one test, all the questions were coming from just one of these competencies, which would you choose? Which is more challenging to you? Which is less challenging? And why would that be? Think about it, all right? And talk about it at your tables. Then we'll discuss your preferences as a group. All right, again, for you folks joining us live online, thank you again for sharing your thoughts. We've included them in the discussions, as you know, and we really appreciate that. And if you're watching this pre-recorded workshop, pause the recording, do a little self-reflection. Which would you choose? Why are some areas more challenging and some less challenging? And how do you prepare for a standardized test? Come back and join us anytime. You can restart the video. Yeah, okay. Yes, back up here. Here we go. Well, we have some pretty interesting discussions about strategies to review and study for standardized tests. I think I'm going to summarize this. You tell me if I said it right. There's no right way for everybody, but we all do agree that we do need to review and study some of these areas. Is that right? Did I say it right? All right, very good. All right, so let's talk about that. How do you prepare for a test? Well, you've done your part here today. You've come here and you've gained some knowledge about what to expect on mathematics, standardized mathematics tests. Another way to prepare is to select the tools or the resources you might need when you actually do go and study for these things. The most reliable resources for guaranteeing your success, well, you're going to see this sign along the pathways while you're doing your training. And these are messages from folks who have been through this before you. They like to leave messages of encouragement and advisement. And in this case, the message: avoid spending your time and your money on expensive resources. You just don't need them. Commercial webinars are a good example. Avoid paying for free test information that's already out there and strategies that are already out there. Avoid paying for expensive tutors or tutoring companies. They would be an option for more challenging tests, but not for this one. Overpriced study guides are also sold for profit. So be careful of that. Many study guides are available. They're either free or inexpensive. We're going to show you in just a moment. And a more effective and inexpensive resource is just textbooks. They're everywhere. You'll have no problem finding these. So if you're serious about this and you want to become a better test taker, particularly in mathematics, textbooks might be the best place to go. Over at the Training Center in the My Resources area, you can expect to find the most popular and up-to-date tools for your success. You can see there that each one of these is free. And if we find any others, we put them up there. They're going to be very inexpensive. So you don't need to invest a lot of time, and especially don't invest a lot of money on resources. Invest that in yourself. Practice your test skills. Expect to gain confidence. Expect to gain personal independence. Your pass provides admission to these training areas. Up there at the top, you can see there's My Test. That's an activity that enables you to check your understanding of the blueprint, everything we've talked about here today. You can even take a pre-test before you train. This is the Test Camp problem-solving system. The first step to finding the correct answer is to identify the type of question by the competency. Sound familiar? We've been doing that here today. Quizzes and tests are there, and they're part of your admission also. They provide an opportunity to practice your test skills while assessing your test content knowledge. You'll know where, if you need to go to review or study. And quizzes are based on the competencies that we talked about today. There's even a combined quiz down there at the bottom to get you ready for the test area, which has practice tests and that post-test. Now, these are constructed with features like those you can expect on a computer on test day. And as you complete the training activities, you can earn points towards a professional test certificate, and that guarantees your success. Then you can expect to perform with the confidence that comes from the knowledge and the skills you earned during the training. So let's go ahead and get started. There's no better time than now to empower your test confidence.